Hello, everybody. Today we're back again for Greater Than Careers. Today I have Logan Shipley here. Say hi, Logan.
Hey guys.
So Logan's here with me today. Logan, you kind of want to tell him like a little bit about yourself, your career that you're working in, and like where you're living and what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. As Ethan said, my name is Logan Shipley. I am a cybersecurity professional for the United States Air Force and for the federal government. I have been doing it close to 10 years. I'm not quite there yet, but it's definitely been a lot of fun. I live in Klamath Falls. I work at the 173rd Fighter Wing. My fighter wing's mission is we train all U.S. F-15 pilots. So every single F-15 pilot you have comes through our base and we train them. And my job is to defend the network that they do all their work on.
Okay, I got you. So it sounds like a little bit of security clearance is required to get into the job.
Yeah, I have a TSSCI. You have to have, which is pretty much the highest clearance before you get into like the White House clearances and stuff like that.
Okay, got you. So can you give us like a little brief overview of kind of like what a average day is for you in the job?
Yeah, absolutely. So being at a guard base, we don't have the greatest manning, so we have to have our fingers in a lot of different pots all the time. We do jobs that are ranging from cybersecurity policy to cybersecurity implementation to cyber analytics, where we take data sets and we combine those data sets and we make sure that no bad guys are on our network. We do sometimes I'm sitting there helping build servers and VM networks. It's kind of a whole range. My basic day is show up to work and I open up my vault and I'm usually one of the only ones in my vault. And I think the biggest portion of my day is probably my FISMA stuff. So FISMA stands for Federal Information System Management Act. It was an act passed by Congress that says all federal entities have to follow these rules. And we put together what is called an RMF package to accredit our network. So the DoD pretty much comes down and says, your network has to be certified. And in order to be certified, you have to follow these guidelines. And we go into a web-based program called EMAS, and we answer these questions. And from our unclassified networks that could have 3,000, 4,000 questions to our classified network, EMAS, that could have a lot more than that. We have to sit there and answer them all. And then we do things called POAMs, which is plan of action and milestones, to where we're going to fix things that are broken. And so that's usually that takes up the biggest chunk of my day.
Sounds like you're pretty busy.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So what I think you might have said it, maybe I just missed it. What's the exact like career title or job title for you like currently?
So my full-time job is I'm a network operator, or a cyber network operator. Okay. And then my military job, because I only do my military job on the weekends because I'm a drill status guardsman. My military job is just a wing cybersecurity operator.
Okay. So what got you interested in working in cybersecurity?
So I think when I joined the military, my first job was air traffic control, and I knew I wasn't going to go to college, and because I didn't work as hard as I should have in high school, and I knew I wasn't going to get grants. My parents weren't going to pay for it. So I needed something that I could make as most money, max out my earning potential without, this is going to sound lazy, but putting as much effort into it. And pretty much the Air Force was, we will feed you, house you, and teach you a career while paying you. And then you can do what you want with those skills. And I was like, that sounds like a killer deal to me. So I went and I was like, I knew ATC people make a lot of money. Well, I joined ATC and it was definitely not what I thought it was going to be. And so the next step down from that was cyber. And I was like, I know cyber is going to be making money. People already do. Let me go learn that. And so that's kind of how I got into cyber. And I just didn't realize how good I was going to be at it.
Okay, I got you. So once you got into it, was there anything that kind of like motivated you to kind of like work up to where you are now?
The biggest thing for me was actually learning. if I'm not learning a new skill, I get really bored and complacent. And so I always strive to be around people who are teaching me something. And it's kind of weird. The things that you learn in the career field may not be the things that you thought you would have liked. Like, I didn't really think I was going to really like pen testing. But then they, the Army National Guard actually sequestered me to be part of the CSAR, the Oregon CSAR, which is the Cybersecurity Assessment and Response Team. And it's one of the first state teams that are actually built to defend Oregon if a cyber event actually did happen.
Okay.
And so the governor will activate us, and then we go and intervene and help out in any way we can. And after I did that, and after I learned what cyber really was and how it really interacted and integrated itself with everybody's daily life, and I saw how big it was, I don't think that there's going to be any point in time in the future from now on that cyber is now disconnected from daily life. And so that was what really motivated me. And it's why I flat refused to take a job, people will offer you jobs working for banks or working for private companies or, working for, gas giants. And you can make a ton of money doing that. I'm not saying you can. And I'm not telling anybody that they can't do that. But for me, I don't want to protect somebody else's money, and I want to protect, assets that actually affect people, and defend the systems that save our troops overseas, or stuff like that. That's what I want to do. And so that's why I want to potentially work for NASA or the NSA or stuff like that.
So it sounds like you're kind of motivated by the fact that, one, you're not going to get bored. Two, the fact that it's going to actually be something that's going to be around for a while. And then three, it's actually going to affect more people than just yourself, and you're kind of looking out for the betterment of more people.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super positive. So it sounds like we have a general idea of kind of like what you're doing and kind of like the reason behind it. How many hours a week are you kind of working right now, like within the actual cybersecurity realm?
So that's one cool thing about the federal government. They do not work you over the private entities. They can work you to the bone all the time. And that's a really cool thing about federal government is, hey, you're scheduled for 80 hours. You will not go over this 80 hours because they don't want to pay any more than they have to. It's pretty much what it is. They're trying to save your taxpayer dollars.
Yeah. So right now, are you currently working like 40 hours a week, or what? How many hours is like a typical work week for you right now?
Yeah, 40 hours. I get paid every 2 weeks, so it's an 80-hour pay period.
Pay period. Okay, got you. And then kind of a fun question I like to ask. I'm always really curious. What was the first job you ever worked?
So do you remember the Hellgate jet boats?
Yeah.
I used to work at the OK Corral. That was my first job.
Oh, what did you do for them?
So I was just a dishwasher. So the OK Corral was actually right down the street from my house.
Oh, okay.
So I walked to work every day.
You got free food though, right?
I did get free food. The tips were awesome, especially in Oregon when you don't have to, you get paid like the full minimum wage.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like free food is a big motivating factor for a lot of people's first jobs. I keep hearing that over and over. I got free food. So I know you touched on it already, but you said like within this career of cybersecurity, like, is a degree required? Is it not required? Is it helpful? Like, how would that impact? Or is it more like on the job training and that's really what matters? Like, how does that break down like long term?
Okay. So it definitely does depend. Employers, that when it comes to employers, some people have personal preference. No matter what, it's kind of been ingrained in our society to put in, bachelor's required, or you'll see that a lot. The biggest thing though, if you're going to get into cyber, is A, on-job training, and B, certifications.
Okay.
Because 90% of the people who are working like in offensive security for the nation, like at the NSA, the DIA, stuff like that, they're like hired from as civilians. Mm-hmm. Like they'll go to like Black Hat Con, or they'll go to these conferences and they'll be like, here's my satellite, hack it, and they'll hack it and be like, you're hired. So college is great, and I don't want to demean college. And there's some aspects of me wanting to go to college and stuff like that. But for cyber, I don't. It is definitely not required. I don't have a bachelor. I have an associate's, but that's only because I got it through the Air Force.
Okay. So it's not actually required, but maybe something that might be helpful. But so what kind of certifications are like people looking for, or do you think are helpful, I guess, within the realm of cybersecurity?
So the foundation one, and it depends on what part of cybersecurity you want to do, right? So if you want to work on policy or you want to work on pen testing, there are two different cert paths. So the first thing I can tell you is if you definitely want a little bit more clear of a path, I would look up the DoDI 8570M requirements. That is going to give you a graph, and you can even Google it in Google Images, and it'll give you a graph of what certs the federal government thinks applies to what. And you can take that and apply it to the real world, because that's pretty much what they use. And so at the very least, if you want to work in cybersecurity, you have to have Security Plus. That is the bare minimum. You have to have that. If you don't have it, people aren't even going to look at your resume.
Okay, so that's really important then, obviously.
Yes.
So for someone who's coming outside in, let's say somebody who doesn't end up going the military route, maybe it's a little bit later in life, younger adult who's not in the military, they're coming outside in. Do you feel like there's any type of like accomplishments or like previous work experience or anything they could do to like set themselves apart that would like get them a better opportunity?
Yeah, so I know that like Mantech and Intel, many companies, even in Oregon, can do it's like interns. They'll do like interns. You don't get paid pretty much anything, really. It's almost kind of like slave labor, but you learn skills that you would never learn anywhere else. So if you don't have experience and you want something like that, that is an option. What I would suggest just getting the certs on your own. Get Security Plus, get CISP, get CISM, get CASP, get those certs, and then you go and say, I have these certs, I have this knowledge, someone has already graded me on this, I know it. Can I have a position somewhere? And you might not, because you don't have any OJ like on-job training, you might not get the position exactly what you want. But that's the, in my opinion, the easiest way to break through into this career field.
Kind of a way to get your foot in the door.
Exactly.
Okay. That's really good advice. So within like the cybersecurity realm, like how competitive is it to get into it? And like how competitive is it to move up the ladder, as it were?
Well, the cool thing for federally, if you're looking at cybersecurity federally, people leave all the time to get higher paying jobs privately. And the cybersecurity career field is growing at a massive rate. And there's some odd like 126,000 open cybersecurity jobs right now. Like it's insane, and it's only growing because everybody has recognized. APT 26 literally just shut down the West Coast hospitals. Like they just like, nope. You want your data, you pay me for it. And so people are recognizing what they need to do and how they need to pay us. And so like right now is by far the best time to start getting in. Because when I got in, people were trying to take it seriously, but it hadn't gotten to a point where people were, losing lives or losing money, stuff like that. But when you're affecting hospital and hospital equipment is down for, 48, 72 hours, how many lives were lost? You know what I mean?
Yeah. So it definitely sounds like it's expanding and growing like career path, which is really good.
Yeah.
Especially if it's something that sounds interesting, because a lot of it's definitely one of those things kind of changing where I feel like some careers is like technology advances kind of like shrink, and it definitely sounds like this is the opposite. So that's really positive. Actually, I like it a lot. So for you personally, what do you feel? Don't say the 40-hour-a-week work job, because then I'll smack you. What do you feel is the best thing about working in cybersecurity, or like your favorite thing?
It's a hard one. I think I guess I don't know what the best part of it is, but the best feeling that I've ever had was finding something that I knew was bad, somebody else told me it was bad, and I was able to potentially save lives. We found a virus on multiple C-17 aircraft, and we were able to diagnose it, figure out where it came from, wipe the aircraft, close the hole, and that potentially could have saved lives.
That's awesome.
And that for me was the best feeling I've ever had working in a job. Now, the worst feeling is that I think that cybersecurity, it's almost like every other job. No one thanks you if things are going good, and then everybody, kind of yells at you when they get hacked or when things go bad. And so it's a little bit of a thankless job, because it's one of those jobs that you're doing in the background, and that when everything's working good, no one really pays attention. But when everything's down, that's when all the spotlight's on you, right?
Yes,
So
I got you. It makes a lot of sense. It's kind of one of those jobs where, kind of what you said, you're working in the background, you're working kind of below the radar, like no pun intended, I guess, but working below the radar, and like people expect things to be like running smoothly. So it's not exactly what you're saying. It's not until something blows up. But okay, I mean, you took my next question, which is great, which is like the exact opposite, which was like the worst or like the least favorite thing. But that's great. At least we just jump right into it. So working in cybersecurity, do you feel like there is any like pitfalls or obstacles that like an average person would have in their career path? Maybe something that they didn't expect, something that they need to like work through, or something you're gonna run into, you're like, oh shit, I wish I would have known that before, like working in this job, something like that maybe.
Yeah, you have to go in expecting and knowing that you're never going to learn everything, and that's cyber and IT, just technology in general, changes so much on a daily basis that it is, if you are not ready to constantly learn something new and learn a new application or learn a new code or learn something every day, you are not going to succeed. If you think that reading policy and just telling someone to put their phone away when they're in a classified environment, that's what you do, that's not going to work. You are not going to succeed. It is a learning. You have to learn every second of every day, and there's someone out there that is always smarter than you, and don't be afraid of that. Seek that person out and make that person your best friend.
No, that's good. I like that. I like the fact that that's the obstacle, is realizing that it's an ever-changing field. It's always going to keep developing. And I like what you said too. There's always someone who's going to be smarter or better than you are. You just got to be willing to push yourself to keep climbing up the ladder of knowledge.
Yeah, I agree.
So as far as for, let's say, a high school senior, junior, or a young adult, and they're thinking about getting into cybersecurity, do you have like maybe like a first step for them, whether it's a job or like a way to kind of like dip their toe or foot in the water to kind of be like, hey, like, do I actually like this? Is it something I'm interested in, aside from taking like the certifications?
Aside from taking certifications, every single thing cyber-wise, and I know everybody wants to start off with the cool stuff, like, how do I hack people? That is, I mean, for the vast majority of what people think it is actually completely illegal. So I don't suggest doing that. But if you want to learn those tools and you want to learn, let's say I want to set up my own home network and see if I can just get into my own home network, other than with means that is actually legit. What I would do is download Kali Linux, go on YouTube, open up a tool in Kali Linux, and Google how to use it, and do that with all the tools in Kali Linux, and that's completely free. Kali Linux is open source. It's completely free. You can just download it and put it on, a crappy laptop that you have, and you just mess around with it. You just, you play with it until you find something that, is fun to do and that you like to do. That's how I would go about getting into it's not going to help you get a job just saying that you know how to use Kali Linux, but it's going to let you understand the principles behind why cybersecurity and the people who practice cybersecurity operate, and why they do the job that they do and say the things that they say.
I like that though. It's a cool free resource that you can kind of utilize and kind of see if it's something that if you're interested in. Because I mean, it sounds like if you're using that piece of software and you're not into it, then it might not be something that you actually want to do long term.
Exactly. If you don't even have the ambition to learn on your own, then you're never going to make it in the field to begin with.
Makes sense. So for yourself, like in your career in cybersecurity, like, is there like a long-term career goal for you to get into, or like what would be like the next step up for you, like as far as maybe like a promotion or like a long-term career like within cybersecurity? Like what is like the position people are like, I want to get to here and this is like the best one, or like, you know what I mean, something like that. Aside from hacking and like anti-hacking, like I don't know if that means what you want to do, but like is that like the top, or is there something else like people are like that's what we want to work towards?
So like I said, I was a GS11, so the highest you can go really in any GS position is GS15, and those are the people. So like a GS15 runs the FAA, a GS15 runs the DOE. Like that's kind of the highest you can go. So you can be like a GS15 for CISA, which is the pretty much the DoD's answer for cybersecurity for federally. I think like when I first joined, my first goal was I'm going to go and work at the NSA, which I can still do. But I'm at this point right now with, the NSA is one of those federal groups that you're not going to be working 80 hours a week. You know what I mean? Like you're going to be that you are now at the pinnacle of either defensive or offensive cyber. You're affecting whether nations go to war at that point. And so the stress level is way up
here.
Yeah. And I'm not really looking to do that. It really, when you look at it civilian wise, I guess it's just really what you want to do. Like if you want to do pen testing, usually pen testers get paid pretty good, but ISSOs, which is information system security officers, and information system security managers make the most money because they're handling, actual offices and managing people. So I mean it's all what you want to do, and it's all which branch you decide was fun. If like you like policy, then ISSO is for you, and if you like data analytics, then being a cyber analyst is for you, and if you like pen testing, then be a pen tester. But it's all on which facet of cyber that you actually like to do. Kind of depends on where you want to end up.
No, that makes a lot of sense. Within like working in cybersecurity and kind of like that whole field, do you feel like there's like a personality type or like characteristics that somebody should have or probably would have to be successful in the career?
Well, I can tell you from experience, most cyber guys are shut-ins. Don't really have they're definitely not known for their social skills. Let me put it that way. And so when you find a cyber guy that does have a good amount of social skills, that is a keeper. So if you have good social skills, could put you above a potential candidate that is 20 times smarter than you, but can't communicate at all. And cyber is all about team playing. So when you're doing pen testing, you are part of a team, and it's not just like, I'm going to hack the server. It doesn't work like that. You're a part of a team, and the team's goal is to find vulnerabilities, but you are part of a group of gears that all have to work simultaneously in order to make that happen.
Okay, I got you. So having a little bit of social skills, being able to work as a team, and also probably kind of like what you went back to earlier, someone who's like wants to be better and learn more and very like open-minded to that, and not just thinking I know the way and that's the way it is.
Yeah.
Okay, positive. So within like the actual career path that you're working right now and working with cybersecurity, like how does it affect like your general lifestyle, like outside of work? Like, is there a lot of stress, like that kind of stuff? Like, or is it pretty much you work your job and you go home and you're like, that's it, it's cool?
Yeah, pretty much. If you work for the federal government, it's pretty laid back. If something does happen, then they're obviously going to call you in and do that stuff. But I feel like that's going to be with any job, really, especially in this career field. You can work at a hospital, you could work at a private entity, and if something happens, because cyber is worldwide, so not everybody's on the same time zone. So when people are hacking you, it could be early in the morning for them, and it could be 2 o'clock in the morning for you. You know what I mean? So And that's a tactic that they use. So they can call you in, but for the most part, it's pretty quiet. It's pretty benign.
Have you had those phone calls though, where someone's calling you at 2 in the morning, like, hey, when you come in?
Yeah, especially when I was deployed. So when I was in Qatar, like the C-17 thing, we were working. I'm not kidding you. We were on a 126-degree tarmac in a C-17. It was 120 degrees in the C-17 because they don't have air conditioning when they're turned off. And we're sitting there, in our PT gear at 3 o'clock in the morning trying to figure this stuff out. So, or when they hacked Iran, the news agency in Iran, or it wasn't Iran, it was Qatar, and Iran was saying, they said something about Iran, and so I was a part of the investigation team that actually went over there with people from the FBI, the DIA, and the NSA to go over there and help Qatar investigate what happened.
Okay. So it is like a deployable thing too, if need be.
Yeah.
Okay, it's cool. So get to see a little bit of the world maybe too.
Yeah.
Whether you want to or not. So for someone again who's wanting to get into this or is interested in it, or like maybe they're already taking they already put their foot in the water, what's some like pieces of advice or words of wisdom that you might give them to kind of like help them along their journey or path, or anything that you kind of like give them as like motivational advice, something like that?
Just don't get discouraged, and you just have to know that someone is always going to be better than you, and that knowledge is key. And because if you don't have that knowledge, don't get discouraged, because there's always, if someone built it, someone can unbuild it, and someone can manipulate it, and there's always the information that is out there to be able to fix it. It's just having the mindset of just I need to be the one that finds that out and fix it first before something bad happens.
Yeah, no, I got you. That makes a lot of sense. If you could give yourself one piece of advice, let's say 4 or 5 years ago, to help you like speed up your progression or knowledge or skills in cybersecurity, what would it be? Aside from like learn more.
Yeah, that's a hard one. I think to speed things up, I would say, for me personally, don't be so lazy, but that's not a good answer. I would say, don't get complacent. Just because you think you know your job doesn't mean you can't learn something else. And when you do, people recognize that. So as soon as my eyes got opened up to CSART and what I was talking about earlier, I exploded, right? I was just like, there's a whole new world of information that I didn't even know existed, and I can be a part of it. And so instead of waiting like I did, just go seek it out. Why aren't we doing this? Go and be what does that mean? We're trying to I forget, but go and seek out the knowledge first.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Go seek the opportunities.
Yeah, you gotta go out and get it if you want it. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like there's any like resource? I mean, obviously the web's got a bunch of stuff, but like, I don't know if you've personally found like maybe like any like websites or maybe YouTube channels or something like that that has like good quality information, even that you might use right now for your career, that you're like, I'm gonna go watch a video from so and so, or I'm gonna go read this article on this website that I know has good stuff on it, something like that maybe.
Yeah, so hackme.com is pretty good if you want to learn some pen testing stuff. There is a entry though. You actually have to hack the website in order to get credentials to enter the website. So, but it's a great tool. Also, CBT Nuggets. If you are looking to get certifications, CBT Nuggets has all of they take the books from the courses and they just go through it chapter by chapter in a video format. And they actually have, diagrams and stuff so it's a very great visual tool if you're a visual learner. Other than that, really, Google, Reddit. Obviously, Reddit has a bunch of GitHub. GitHub has all the stuff that you need in order to get the knowledge that you require. and they have scripts on there that help you learn how to script and stuff like that.
Cool. Okay, so it sounds like there's a lot of resources out there people can utilize.
Just Google. Google's your friend.
Google's your friend. So a couple of like the fun questions here at the end. What do you like to do in your free time when you're not working? What do you like to do?
So I have been doing nothing but flying planes. So you can see my joystick right here, my throttle right here, my VR headset. So I play a game called DCS, and because I'm in the Air Force, I fly the F-16. It's a sim plane, so like it's like a cockpit, the cockpit of a 1998 Block 50 F-16. So every button in the cockpit is clickable. You can start it just like the real aircraft would start in real life. So that's what I do in my spare time.
Like to play video games. I got you.
I'm a nerd.
And then one of my other favorite questions, do you have any like secret talents or hobbies, or maybe something about you that if someone met you, they'd be like, I had no idea that you did that or could do that or were interested in that? I had one lady tell me that she likes to read history books, and I was like, you like to read history books? And I was like, okay, that's something I would never know ever in my life. Now there's something that you'd like to do.
You probably know this, but I really love philosophy and I really love debate. So like I watch like Harvard philosophy classes and stuff on YouTube and stuff like that. If I would go to college, philosophy would be the course that I went to.
Okay, I like it. I actually did not know that. I knew you liked to debate, and you're a very logical person. I just didn't know that it was to that degree. I have a question for you then, a great philosophical question. It's my favorite one. And I've never asked someone a random question like this, but I'm totally going to. What do you think, and this is great for people watching this video, you should ask yourself this question. What do you think is more important, the intention of an action or the outcome of an action, and why?
Hey, you bring up a lot of good points for like it's a difference between like utilitarianism and pretty much libertarianism. That really comes down. I'm a big moral subjectivity. I believe in moral subjectivity. I'm not very objective when it comes to morality. I think they both matter, and it definitely depends on what scope you're talking about. So if you're talking about
pick one in your life, like your day-to-day life. Let's say, I'll give you an example. Let's say that you're driving your car and you try and swerve to hit the deer and you hit a person instead. Is it more important that you weren't trying to hit the lady or that you hit the lady?
In that case,
not necessarily that exact example, but the same kind of thing of like, do you think it's more important what you're trying to do or what actually happens?
So yeah, I would say that intent in that fashion would probably be more morally correct. The fact that you didn't mean to hit her is probably more morally correct. However, if I'm going to reverse the question, let's say you're on a trolley and the trolley is barreling out of control, and you could, it was going to fork, and there's 3 workers on one side of the fork and 1 worker on the other side of the fork. Would you, and it was going to turn right and to hit the 3 people. Would you take the action to change and touch the wheel?
That's a good question. It's a really good question. I like it a lot. I'm going to hold on to that one now. Actually, that's good. I like that a lot. I don't know that I have a good answer for you on that one either. Okay, so one more question for you, and then I'll let you get out of here. As far as like entry level into cybersecurity, like what's like the average when you start getting into it, like pay range, like what's like the average around that, whether it's private or in the military? I don't know if it really matters when you first start, but maybe it does.
Most people will start in IT, really. They'll start as like a base level IT, maybe a system admin. That's usually going to be around 50,000 to 70,000, somewhere in there. Once you start getting up in cyber, you can pretty much bank on 70 to 90. And then once you become a SME, you could probably, depending on where you live, 120 would be pretty average, I think, for the top end. When I was in Qatar, I was working with a guy who was making 180, and when you're deployed, none of that money is taxed. So he was making untaxed 180. So but that's also deployed, and he had to spend 4 years in a desert, so that sucks.
Yeah.
So there's things that do come along with it.
Okay, I got you. I got you. And then I guess I got one more in addition to. So as far as like the cybersecurity you do, like if someone wanted to do that, are they able to do that as like a civilian and get into it, or do they have to go through the military chain as well?
Nope, nope. You can be a civilian. There's plenty of decent cybersecurity courses in colleges, and you can get a bachelor's in cybersecurity. There's plenty of those. I think OIT is opening up. They just opened up their program here. So you can definitely do that. And having that bachelor's will probably get your foot in the door into something that's like, you know, 50, 60, $70,000 in that range.
With like a federal job, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, got you, got you. And then I don't know if you want to, but I've always been throwing it out just because I feel like everyone that I've been interviewing is just very good, holistic people. If anyone does have any questions for you or wants to reach out and be like, Logan, I didn't understand this. Can you tell me what this damn abbreviation means? Because I don't know what it is. I don't know. I don't know why they couldn't Google it, but if anybody has any questions or anything, if you want to shout out your email, you're more than welcome. If you don't want to, completely understand. I probably should ask you at the beginning, but.
So you guys can hit me up at Logan_Shipley@hotmail.com.
Awesome. Well, that is going to conclude this for today. Thank you for taking your time out, Logan. I know you're going to finish up your barbecue. Hopefully it tastes delicious. I appreciate it very much, my man. I hope you guys have a great night. It was great talking to you.
Yeah, you too, brother. Take it easy.
Thank you, Logan. Talk to you soon. Hopefully see you soon.
Yeah. See you,
okay.
man.
Bye.